Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and while we cannot give you Halloween candy, we can still give you a treat. We've got two young coaches that are just getting ready to coach their first collegiate basketball games. We're going to have Kiki and Andres giving us a high school spotlight. I will finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound football had a 4-point lead against the University of Texas Permian Basin on Saturday into the third quarter. Unfortunately, couldn't hold it, and they do lose by 20. Greyhound soccer, they were playing the #1 team in the Lone Star Conference and lost by a respectable 3-0 score. Greyhound cross country, the Greyhound guys finished in 11th place, but they had the newcomer of the year in cross country. And the Greyhound women finished in 4th place. They had 2 top 10 finishers, and Kayla Cisneros was the academic cross-country runner of the year in the Lone Star Conference. Last but not least, wow, what about Greyhound volleyball? They won on Friday, they won on Saturday. I think it all has to do with the fact that we had Callie Nelson and Michaela Garvin on as our guests last week on Sportslook, or maybe not. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll bring on our first guest, Megan De Los Reyes, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we welcome back to the set the head coach of Greyhound women's basketball, Megan De Los Reyes. And Coach, it's hard to believe, but 1 week from tonight, you will have played your first game of the season against the University of Arizona. You'll be finishing up your second game of the season against the University of New Mexico. And most importantly, you'll only be 2 days away from your first home game.
Yes, Doc. First of all, thanks for having me. And we are so excited to start this season. We are doing the math, and it's about 600 days since the Greyhounds were able to play last. And so we are so excited to get it going. And yes, a couple of exhibition games under our belts before we get to welcome the Greyhound crowd back to Greyhound Arena. So that is what we're really looking forward to.
And we'll talk specifics. That is a 5 o'clock tip-off at the Greyhound Stadium on November the 5th.
November 6th. Yes, November 6th. That's correct. It's a Saturday, so everyone needs to come on out at 5 o'clock. We will be there ready to go.
And obviously, you had an idea when you got hired. This is what I'd like to do. You met your players, and you do a little bit of modification. Sure. Now that you're ready to actually put games on the floor against people that are wearing different colored uniforms than you, what can we expect from the Greyhound women this year?
Well, you can expect us to be hungry, that's for sure. Like I said, 600 days later, everybody's gearing up to play and ready to go, especially against someone other than ourselves. Gosh, we've just been getting after it back and forth against each other, and they are such great competitors, and so it is not easy to go against each other every day in practice, but we're really looking forward to someone in a different color uniform to go up against. But we are definitely ready, and I feel like what I came in here with a plan to do. Fortunately, we have such coachable and eager kids that we're able to actually instill a lot of what I had in mind to do. So we'll be presenting on the court shortly.
We obviously have a number of different approaches that we could expect you to use offensively. We could expect you to run motion. We expect maybe run a whole bunch of set plays. Is it kind of still a work in progress, or do you think you have a pretty good idea what offense you're going to be able to run?
Well, today, we only have a week or two of practice under our belt, so there's no way we can fit in all of the set plays and all of the motion offenses that we're planning on running. But we've done a pretty good job of instilling our transition offense so far. And then it's going to depend on our opponent. Depend on if the motion works better, if we need to get into the post, if we need to use our shooters more often, but it's going to depend on who we play.
Yeah, and honestly, after a few games, when people start to get a little bit of body of work that they can judge you on, how do you think they will defend you?
Ooh, gosh. Well, I think they're going to need to prepare for some toughness and physicality. We just have those type of players, and so I think that's going to be a big part of who we are and our identity, and just the persistence. We're just going to keep coming and keep coming. like I mentioned, transition game, and they're going to probably have to prepare for our speed.
And if you had your druthers, do you prefer an offense where you're going to get the ball down in the paint and keep doing that until they stop you, or are you going to look to the perimeter and then when they come out to guard you, then try and get it down low?
Best of both worlds is we have a little bit of both. I absolutely love the kind of old-fashioned true post players, and we're fortunate enough to have a few of those on this roster, which is great. So they're going to be a force inside. And then on top of it, being able to kick back out, have a little bit of the inside-out game for our guards, our experienced guards out there that can knock down shots or continue with driving to the basket.
Well, let's talk a little bit about players that individuals who followed Greyhound basketball 600 days ago would remember. Who are the
Sure.
returning players that you're going to be counting on?
Well, we have a few seniors. So we have Laura Rowe, who is a nice longer guard, who's a shooter, who will be coming back as a senior, super senior, fifth-year senior, however we're calling it. Anisha Hurst as well, who's had some minutes from the guard. She is a junior college transfer that's now going to be playing for another year here. She's somebody who can handle the ball and also get to the basket. We also have our junior, Kamira Decker. We saw her a lot in the post. She was one of those posts we were talking about that's going to do a lot of work back to the basket, and she's really improved on her outside shooting as well. But we have Natalie Stice as well, who played some pretty significant minutes, even when she was just a redshirted freshman. But she's a real sharpshooter. So we have a few returners coming back.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, in crunch time, when the Greyhound women won their quarterfinal Lone Star Conference matchup against Tarleton State, the one that guaranteed that they would qualify for the NCAA, at crunch time, you had Kamira on the floor, you had Natalie on the floor. So if you've only got a few players, it sounds like the four you got coming back are pretty good ones.
Absolutely, and we have so much confidence in them, and they've really helped our newcomers. We have so many newcomers, not just the ones that are freshmen and new this year, but last year, who were here on campus but had the COVID year and didn't actually get to play. So those returns have been huge in their leadership and trying to instill what Greyhound basketball is all about. And we really look forward to seeing them again on the floor soon.
And speaking of seeing again soon, if memory serves me, Coach, October 29th, which is tomorrow, an important day because I believe that's the day that the Lone Star Conference is going to release all of their videos that were filmed about Greyhound basketball.
Yes, there's a lot of videos that will be released. So you have that to look forward to. The preseason poll, which is always difficult to do, preseason poll. All of our teams are so different. Especially ours in Western New Mexico, having not played last year as well on account of COVID. So something to look forward to, but I'm sure that will be changing in mumbo jumbo very shortly after we start conference schedule.
And we will tell people that if they do go to the Lone Star Conference website and they look at your video, we get to talk to you, but you also selected one individual, and the one individual we wanted to bring was Kamira Decker.
That was Kamira, and I chose that for a reason. She's a high IQ basketball player. She's somebody, like I said, she's a junior now. She has a few years under her belt here at Eastern New Mexico, and she's just been somebody who's really grabbed the younger ones under her arm and pulled them in, roped them in, showed them exactly what it's like to be a Greyhound women's basketball player. She's done a great job on the floor and off the floor. So she's one of the best to be able to speak to on a day like that.
And of course, you were an assistant coach this time last year. Now you're in the first chair, but you've got people that are sitting in the second and third chairs. And talk a little bit about your assistants.
Sure. So Gabby Cortez, she comes to us from a junior college, Labette Community College in Kansas. And she's somebody who's going to be a heck of a recruiter, I'm telling you. She knows the area really, really well. She's going to be huge in bringing in more junior college transfers and also Division I transfers. She was a Division I athlete herself. She actually was a professional basketball player as well. And so she has an eye for talent, and she's really going to be big on the recruiting front. And then I have a graduate assistant who's really close to my heart. She was actually one of my players at Southern Oregon University. She was also a Division I player and transferred to be an All-American at Southern Oregon. And so she's been absolutely wonderful. Both are very relatable to the female athletes, and they really, really adore them. So it's been fun to have them around.
And how have you divided up the coaching responsibilities? What specifically do they do?
Well, as I said, Gabby, she's one that really gets into the recruiting. We've gone on a couple trips together thus far and really have enjoyed you know, having kind of a similar eye for what we're looking for, which is absolutely amazing. And then for Coach Mejia, she's great with individual skill work. She is one herself that was just an absolute gym rat. And so she's big on skill development and getting extra shots up and teaching them all sorts of new moves, getting to the basket. She is a little point guard and shooting guard herself. So we have a post player that gets to do work with them in Gabby, and we have a combo guard in Coach Remy, who they both just even out the playing field, and we have a little bit of everything.
Coach, this is kind of like the movie Memento that goes forward and backward in time, because now I'm going to go back to an earlier discussion we had about your game against Northern New Mexico. That's a standalone game,
Yes.
but starting December 2nd, all of your games from that point on pretty much are going to be Lone Star Conference doubleheaders. And
Yes.
from what I understand, if you pay the price of admission to watch your ladies play, you get to watch the guys and just on the one ticket.
Doc, you get the price of 2 for 1. I believe $5 admission gets you into the women's game, which starts at 5 on Thursdays and 7 for the men. So you can get in 2 for 1 on the weekdays, weekends, same price, which is amazing. So take the whole family out, kids get in for free. Again, the $5 gets you for a double header of some great basketball in Greyhound Arena.
And if people would like to get an even better view of Greyhound basketball, for the very first time ever, we're selling courtside seats.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Paul Weir has done some really great things for us so far and moving us into uncharted territory that's absolutely amazing and exciting. And one of these things is the VIP seating that's coming for Greyhound Arena this year. And so you get courtside seats, even your own parking space. You get to be right down with the players and coaches, get a great feel for the game. Stats, you get some stats throughout the game. You have a hospitality room that you can enjoy some refreshments and appetizers during the game. So it's an absolute must for any of those loyal Greyhound fans who really just want that extra special experience.
Well, Coach, in the 1 minute we've got left here, short-term goals, long-term goals. Let's just talk about the short term. What
Sure.
do you absolutely expect people will see when they go out and watch you on November 6th?
I expect them to see us compete. Just persistent competition, never backing down. We're those tough-nosed hounds that are just going to keep coming and keep fighting no matter what the score is. Up 10, down 10, you know, up 1, down 1. We're going to play the same way no matter what it is.
Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure. I got to meet you when you came for an interview. I had the pleasure of talking to you on a number of different occasions, and it'll be great to actually start broadcasting your games.
Thank you, Doc. I look forward to seeing you there.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview portion to start the program. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear the set, and we'll cue up a high school spotlight featuring Andres and Kiki right now.
Welcome back to High School Spotlight. I'm your co-host, Kitana Sapinga.
And I'm Andres Chavez, and tonight we're going to be bringing you football matchups between the Sandia Matadors and the Clovis Wildcats. Now let's not waste any time, let's get to the highlights. On the first play, we already see a turnover. Sandia punts the ball, and number 1, Jetstone, muffs the punt. Number 28, Noah Jaramillo, recovers it.
On this possession, the quarterback hands it off to number 88 for a 15-yard touchdown.
Sandia still on offense here as the quarterback finds number 15, Andrew Hill, in the air for another 6 points.
The Wildcats now have possession but are unable to run their offense as quarterback number 15, Milo Acosta, is sacked by number 32, Eli Lovato.
Clovis decides to answer back with a sack of their own from number 28, Mark Cabine.
Quarterback sacked by number 28, Mark Cabine.
Sandy is at the goal line here, and we see a handoff to number 2, Jacob Miranda, who fights his way to the end zone, securing another Matador touchdown.
Handoff to number 2, Jacob Miranda.
The halftime score was Clovis 7, Sandia 28.
Coming out of halftime, Sandia decides to go for a huge play, but the pass was incomplete.
The Wildcats quickly responded with a big run from number 8, Robert Nora, earning a first down.
Clovis tried to feed Nora again, but he is quickly shut down in the middle by the Matador defense, forcing another fumble.
Sandia now has possession, and they try it again with a big play, and this time they're successful as Miranda makes the catch and runs it into the end zone for another Matador touchdown.
Sandia is at the goal line once again as they find number 88 on the left side of the field for another 6. The final score was Clovis 14, Sandia 41. And that's all the highlights we have for you tonight.
Before we throw it back to Doc, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more photos, updates, and highlights. Once again, I'm your co-host, Kitana Sapinga.
And I'm Andres Chavez. We'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Sportslook. Thanks to Andres and Kiki for that high school spotlight. And now we bring to the floor the man of Greyhound men's basketball, Brent Owen. And Coach, it's down to single digits before you get a chance to play that first game in a big arena against a really quality team.
Yeah, it's we did the itinerary today. We've got it all planned out. We're leaving at 6:30 this Sunday morning. And, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Exciting times.
And we have just been talking off microphone that the game time is actually going to be 8 o'clock New Mexico time and 7 o'clock Arizona time, because they will not be on our time until a week later.
That's correct. That's correct. They'll be on our time once the time changes, but not before. So they will we'll be an hour ahead of them at that point. And I believe that I'm not sure what time I'm not sure if the game is going to air live on the Pac-12 network, but at some point you'll be able to watch that game on the Pac-12 network.
That is way cool, and I'm glad that I'm going to be courtside broadcasting the game on good old
you'll have a good seat
radio.
for that one.
Exactly. Well, and from what you were telling me also before we went on air, while we were off mic, that you actually have been playing some different opponents.
Yeah, we have. We've got the opportunity this week to scrimmage 2 opponents. We're playing. We played New Mexico Junior College yesterday, and we play South Plains Junior College tomorrow. 2 very, very strong opponents. You know, some people that don't understand junior college basketball, I mean, you go see those 2 teams, you'll be amazed. They've got, I would assume, I've watched them several times. I went and watched them in a couple jamborees, one in Oklahoma City and one in Dallas this past month. Watched them play, each of them play about 5 or 6 games apiece. I would say both of them have 7 or 8 Division I talents on their roster right now. So yeah, we got to go to New Mexico Junior College last night. We traveled over there to Hobbs as a team. It was a great game. They actually allowed some students in and had a crowd in there, and they have a kind of a small gym, but it's nice, and it gets really, really loud with a small number of people. And we were down at the beginning of the game and showed some good poise and toughness, and really rebounded the ball well, and came back and won at the end of the game. And it was really encouraging. A couple positives were just, number one, rebounding was, as on the last time I talked to you on the show. Rebounding is a huge deal for us, and in practice I just wasn't seeing it. It's just, I didn't see us getting the too many times the ball is falling into people's hands where the ball should be, grabbed at the rim level. And yesterday was they have big, strong athletes there, and so it was going to be a real test to see where we were at. And we were able to out rebound them. That was a good sign. But then I felt like throughout the game, I thought we had a team with some good depth. And, we're kind of losing most of the game. And then about the 10-minute mark of the second half, I could just see it. Their team was wearing down, and we kept bringing in fresh guys off the bench, and then we kind of ran away with it, at the end of the game. But really, really positive thing for, how our depth is going to be this season. I think that's going to be a real advantage we have against a lot of teams.
And it's interesting, Paul Weir has started a town hall where coaches get a chance to talk to people via Zoom, and I tuned in for yours, and you went through and talked about all of your players, and it's like, well, all of these guys sound like they could get playing time.
There's a lot of guys that can get playing time, and that'll be that was, like a couple guys who are good players who have, one of them in particular, started here in the past and, didn't find a lot of minutes yesterday. It doesn't mean he's not going to find a lot of minutes in the future, but it's we had a discussion today that, it's hard to be selfless, but that's what it takes to win championships. And, if you're only in it for playing time and for your individual accomplishments, we're not going to be able to accomplish our team goals. But if you'll really buy into, the team goal is the most important thing. You still have some individual goals that you're focused on. That's fine. But, the team's got to be above all, and they've got to buy into that. And I think we've got a group of young men that understand that. And we've got, especially the guys who have been here, they're really, really hungry to take this thing up a notch. We had a meeting with a senior this morning, and I said, what's your goal for the season? And he said, I just want to make sure that out of my 4 years, this is the best year we've had. And I can say that my senior year, I left this place better than I found it. And he's been voted a captain. He's a leader for us. That's Garrick Sherrod. And so it's just, if we have that mindset, this could be a special year for us.
And talking about the fact that you did a town hall, gave people a chance to get to know you a little bit better, the Lone Star Conference asked every team to put together a media day presentation, and October 29th, the day that's going to drop, so people would like to actually hear from a couple of your players. We interviewed a couple of your guys, and so pretty cool thing to dial up.
Yeah, that'll be on, I believe the Lone Star Conference has their own YouTube channel, and it'll be posted on there tomorrow. They're kind of doing each team one by one, about 5 or 6 minutes apiece. So yeah, that'll be a great way to check in on how things are going and hear from a couple of our guys.
And it was interesting, earlier this week, the Lone Star Conference released its preseason polls, and I was kind of surprised to see you guys as low, but I imagine that probably is going to be a good motivation for your team.
It's certainly not about where you start; it's about where you finish. And if anything, that just puts more of a chip on our shoulder than we already had. We were not able to compete last season, and that was disheartening and really has made us hungry for this year. And when you add on top of that these coaches and the media are picking us near the bottom of the league, we definitely have something to prove. And that was addressed loud and clear in the locker room when that came out. That was and I was fired up about it, and there was a appropriate response from the team about it. So that'll be some fuel to our fire.
And it's interesting, we talked about the fact that people could interact with you through a town hall. They can interact by watching the Lone Star Conference Media Day. But if people really want to interact, there's a new deal that Paul Weir started where there's going to be courtside seating this year for the very first time.
There is. We're very excited about that. Kind of calling it the VIP experience. You'll be given a parking space. You'll be given a seat courtside with your feet on the floor. You'll be right next to the media table, across from our bench. And you also get a hospitality room access where we'll provide some food in there. Coaches will come in there and give a pregame scouting report, so you'll have kind of the inside information and know what you're looking for. But yeah, just a great way for our fans to have a new kind of experience where they're very involved and kind of right in the action, which will be great. It's $250 for that package, and that is a very, very fair price. The other thing that Dr. Weir has done is, he made tickets very affordable this year, and it's $50 for season tickets. That's, we have 13 home games plus one in Clovis. Our women have some extra home games on top of that. I mean, that's an incredible deal to watch some basketball. Kids 8 and under are free. So, that was one of the complaints I heard is that, families, it gets really expensive. And I understand having 2 boys myself. But it is incredibly affordable. And we just really hope that people will take advantage of that. We're going to try to win some games and make it exciting basketball. And Dr. Weir has made it extremely affordable. So we want it to be the place to be in Portales on game night. So really hoping to see some great crowds this year.
And from what I understand, the first chance to see your guys on the home hardwood is going to be November 19th, but then you turn right around and you have another home game on the 22nd?
That's correct. We will play on Monday the 22nd against Panhandle State University. November 19th will be our home opener versus Northern New Mexico. And they've got a talented group. They have a transfer from SMU, I believe, and then they've got another young man that's got a 50-inch vertical that's kind of all over the social media, getting all kinds of likes and stuff on his incredible dunks. So it should be a fun game to watch. Coach Cordova's done a good job. So yeah, that'll be the home opener, and we plan to get after it and set a tone that Greyhound Arena is a really, really difficult place to win at.
Well, Coach, I will be broadcasting your game from McHale Center. I'll be at the pit for your games against the two crossover teams, and can't wait to see you guys in action at the Greyhound Arena.
We look forward to it. We're hungry, we're excited, and can't wait to get going.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for being our guest. Best of luck, and can't wait to see you guys on the home hardwood.
Hey, thanks for having me, and we are excited. We're excited to get going. Look forward to seeing you and everyone else at Greyhound Arena.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview portion of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Happy 75th birthday to the National Basketball Association. Yes, they were founded in October of 1946. And as part of the celebration, they announced their 75 greatest players of all time. And as I was looking at that list, I realized that some of those guys, not only great basketball players, but they had great nicknames. For example, Karl Malone. He was the mailman because he always delivered. George Gervin, he was the Iceman because he was always cool under pressure. Wilt Chamberlain, he was Wilt the Stilt because it looked like he was on stilts compared to everybody else who was way shorter than he was. But I think the best nickname goes to the guy that is the logo of the NBA. His image is the one that's outlined on the NBA logo. A guy by the name of Jerry West, and his nickname is simply Mr. Clutch. Well, that is going to wrap up in overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Megan De Los Reyes and Brent Owen. I'd like to thank Kiki and Andres for the high school spotlight. Had a great floor crew led by Mr. Zach. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.